responsibility.
Finishing this fight.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Lore Council. This is Cade, and I am joined with Keith.
Hey, y'all.
And today we are going back about a little over 100 years ago to November of 1919, and we are going to be talking about the short story Dagon by Howard Phillips Lovecraft, a.k.a. H.P. Lovecraft. And
Yes, I knew that.
yeah. Did you know his first and middle name?
What?
Did you-
First middle name?
Yeah, Howard Phillips Lovecraft. That's what H.P. Lovecraft stands for.
So, but that's just one middle name, Philip.
Howard Phillips Lovecraft. Yeah, his middle name.
Yeah?
Yeah. Did you know that was his name?
No, I didn't know it was Howard Phillips.
You've been exposed live on the podcast as a fraud.
No, I just never cared to learn what it was stood for.
I think I probably just had clicked on his Wikipedia link a couple years ago and just happened to notice that. So. But yeah, no, we decided, since it is spooky season, it is upon us. It is finally getting cool up here in Fargo. I don't know about down in Tejas.
No, it's been nice and stormy.
Ah.
Yeah, lots of storms.
Ah, nice. It's today was finally nice. It was like 67 degrees, rained off and on. Awesome weather.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the rain to it just being like scorching hot all the time. So yeah, definitely an improvement.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so in honor of Spooky October, we figured we'd cover a H.P. Lovecraft story every week. I mean, since they're nice and short and it's relevant for spooky season. So
Yeah. So
yeah, I think there's 5 Fridays, so we'll have one this Friday, next Friday, etc., and then we'll do all the way 1st through the 29th every Friday. So that's 5 plus 1 for Halloween because we're spooky.
yeah.
Yeah, but without further ado, jumping right into Dagon here. Yeah, it's a super short story. I think in the printing I have, it's like 3.5, 4 pages long.
Yeah, it's really short. I read it in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I had a little bit of time to kill this morning while I was waiting to go into work, and yeah, I was able to read it then. So
Yeah, nice little short story.
yeah, and
Yeah.
If you've never read any other Lovecraft stuff, it's kind of like a nice little jumping off point, because I think it's one of the first ones that's actually in the Cthulhu mythos. So
Yeah, this will give you a taste of what Lovecraft has to offer. It's like a sampler.
yeah, and it's super fun. It plays around with a lot of conventions and stuff, and but we can touch on that later, because plot-wise, it's basically about a sailor whose ship is captured by a German sea raider, and this takes place during World War I, so pretty relevant in the time he was writing this.
Right? Yeah. Only a couple years shy there.
Yeah, and so
But
yeah, so
yeah, and it's written in the first person, like a journal kind of entry. And when it opens up, he's kind of he's just talking he's like, oh, I'm about to kill myself, and I have my morphine addiction, and then here's why, and then he gets into telling you the whole story. So it kind of just quickly introduces you to your narrator, and kind of gives you a reason to kind of be intrigued, and then it gets to the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, and it works really well. There is no time wasted. It goes straight into, he was a POW on a German ship. It wasn't bad. He doesn't have anything terrible to say, but obviously he did not want to be a prisoner, and so one night he escapes onto a lifeboat and kind of drifts until he doesn't.
Yeah, he just sort of ends up in just a black mire of this dark kind of sludge, that just sort of just extends out everywhere, and, as far as the eye can see, kind of like an ocean of just black sludge, and he's just there. He said in the story he just says he just sat there for a while and just stared at everything, right?
Yeah, he just sat there for 3 days because he couldn't even walk on the stuff because it was so gross and slimy and full of fish carcasses.
Right, yeah, and he theorizes that it's volcanic ash or sludge or something like that brought up to the ocean floor or something like that, right?
Well, his immediate thing is that he theorizes that like it was a like volcanic activity basically just shoved the seafloor up through the water, and so now like
Yeah.
oh, so spooky. It's the ground that hasn't seen the sun in millions of years.
Yeah, it definitely paints a nice creepy picture right away. You know, kind of this like unsettling sort of like almost other place. You know, and yeah, so he just describes like the sun, I guess, as just bearing down on this like just dark plain. You know.
And he sits there for 3 days until it finally dries out enough so he can start walking, and he fashions himself a little pack, and he's got some food and water so he can go cruising, and he starts a walking. And he walks, I think, for 2 days.
He walks up a hill and then immediately stumbles upon a thing.
Yeah, he goes up a hill, and then he kind of descends a slope, and he sees these huge white stones that he describes as like monolith, whose like they're crafted in such a way that like they couldn't have been made by anything living.
Right, yeah, and he just kind of quickly just describes it. You know, it's got like hieroglyphs in the shape of like different animals and stuff like that on it, and then he sees like these statues of like these weird, you know, sort of humanoid alien looking kind of creatures that are like really ugly. You know, just kind of slowly just illustrating the scene with words and like, you know, giving you like the whole picture there. And then
it paints it super well, and one of the creatures is shown killing a whale, which is only like a tiny bit larger than the creature itself, to kind of like give you the scale of the creatures.
Yeah, and the narrator's just like, oh no, they couldn't be that size. They're just exaggerating.
And he notes that there's a chasm of water kind of near where the monoliths are, and he kind of, as he kind of is looking on at the monoliths, a giant sea monster, creature, fish, humanoid person rises out of the water. And the prose in it is very good. Like we can't really do it justice without reading it, but it's just description and the way it's described, like getting out of the water and how just different and everything is. It's a very effective picture.
Right, yeah. The creature starts kind of, I guess, sort of like saying some weird stuff and like kind of, I guess, bowing to the statues or something. And our dude is just creeped out. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna go now. And yeah,
and basically he runs all the way back to his boat, and he recalls that there's a great storm that presumably would flood the plane that he was on. And the next time he remembers anything, he wakes up in San Francisco, where he was conveniently, apparently in the ocean, picked up by a U.S. ship, and there have been no reports of any Pacific upheavals, and he just straight up, like, basically says to himself and to us, the reader, oh, there's no way anyone would believe this insane story.
Yeah, and he's just like totally just shaken by this this thing that he saw and this like experience that he had, and he just can't live with it, and he's like using like morphine to like cope with it and stuff like that, and he's planning on ending it.
Yeah, he's just haunted by visions of the giant sea creature that he saw, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, and he basically goes on a little bit to describe how he's so afraid for the future of humanity, because like if these things like rose up out of the water, like, oh, could we even do anything against them with our primitive 1917 technology?
Yep, he's totally whacked out of his mind, and the story ends with him in like a hotel room or something like that, and he's like writing a story. He's like, oh no, someone's at the door, they're coming for me.
Yeah, it's basically revealed to us that like this journal basically that we're reading, it's like his suicide note, because he's gonna jump out a window, and the story ends, I have it in front of me, where with the narrator hearing a noise at the door as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it, before shouting, "God, that hand! The window! The window!" And then, presumably leaps to his self-inflicted death. And that's the story.
Yep.
Nice and
happy ending.
Yeah, very happy ending if you are into, dead people. But no, I mean, overall, it's a very fun story. It's a very short story. Obviously, we were able to cover it in about 10 minutes. But overall, like I said, it gives you a really good taste of what's to come with Lovecraft and some of his stuff. Like, this is very much like his style of writing. Like, it's very much his prose. The language of it is very set in like that early 20th century kind of vernacular, which is kind of cool as like a period piece, I suppose.
Yeah, and he usually does this like journal style kind of narration of the story, and it's like the the usual Lovecraftian stuff. You got like a freaked out person and scary fish monsters.
Yeah, just otherworldly things that humans were not meant to see, which would become, if you ask like the layman about like Lovecraft and his stories, basically what you hear is basically what you said, actually. Just freaked out narrator, spooky monster that no human should ever have to see. But I think the really good one about this story is it's presented a lot less like concrete as to what's like happening. As far as like later Lovecraft story goes, we know that this kind of stuff is possible, but like this story on its own I think is really interesting because you could read it like separated from the rest of the mythos, and you can kind of question the narrator, like, oh, is this just like some like dude who's experiencing PTSD from like being captured like during the First World War, or is it like, are all these things brought on by his morphine addiction? Was it a fever dream that he had? Like, it's really fun to mess around with that and kind of get into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, not a lot of the Lovecraft stories have that unreliable narrator aspect. Yeah, it's definitely a little unique there.
Yeah, it's really cool, but it's fun to theorize. Was this nameless journal writer? Is he just like a crazy person, like cooped up? But I was gonna say smoking morphine, but I'm pretty sure you get that injected to your.
No, yeah. He's like, he's like using the morphine to cope, like like a veteran, like a scarred war veteran or something.
Yeah,
and
because that's a big thing that you could definitely get into with Lovecraft. So much of his future works are about like madness, and in his own life, I'm pretty sure both of his parents died in like insane asylums and like sanitariums.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think it definitely could have been a way for him to like kind of write down oh well, this is what people in 1919 do to cope with their mental illnesses, because it's either that or like you're locked away in a sanitarium or getting a lobotomy or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty awful.
Yeah, One Flew Over the Cuckoo Nest style. I'm very glad that people aren't like contained to the sanitarium because they had a crappy day at work and had a breakdown or something.
Yeah, Lovecraft, didn't he also have like night terrors and stuff like that?
Yeah,
and that's where he got like a lot of inspiration for his stories.
He was a weird dude.
With the like the image he describes in that that first part where like the dude is like stranded in the boat and like that whole like sludgy plain, like you can almost think that like Lovecraft probably had like a dream like that or something, and maybe he saw like the fish monster in his dreams or something.
Yeah, it could have been. I'm pretty sure like a couple of his stories are definitely off of things that he himself dreamed. I think I've read. I don't recall which ones they are, but I know for a fact some of those are.
Oh, there's like ones where he like pointed it out or something, or said it.
Yeah, or it was in like letters he wrote or whatever that did those. But Lovecraft, and you'll find a big thing with his stories. A lot of them kind of revolve around the ocean and stuff like that. It's because he did have he had a phobia of the ocean. And that's kind of
that makes sense.
And that's where that whole
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That whole thing where like the whole fear of the unknown thing that Lovecraftian horror and kind of cosmic horror would be kind of known for It's very similar to the ocean because we know what, like, I'm pretty sure we have like basically none of the actual ocean floor like charted because it's just so deep down.
Right, yeah, yeah. And then he creates this like sort of, this like this not an image, but this he makes like this sort of reality of this like the seafloor being brought up, to the surface and being like kind of drawn up in all these like ancient ruins and stuff being seen by him. Yeah.
It's really cool because who knows, man? Maybe there are fish people among us. But yeah, no, I mean, overall, like, he was very, like, if you delve into the themes of Lovecraft, like, there's lots of stuff about, like cosmicism. There's, like, stuff about...
Cosmicism?
Cosmicism, yeah.
That's hard to say.
It is really hard. But it basically a lot of the stuff that, like, he writes is how basically just, like, humanity is just, it's so insignificant in the grand scheme of things.
Right, yeah.
Where, like, compared to, the sea creatures and whatever, like, we're, they're nothing. Like, we're nothing. Like, we can't make these cool monoliths.
I guess. I think it's more, I don't know. I guess just the general image and, like, description of it is more what sticks with me, but, yeah, he certainly creates, like, a mysterious, like, atmosphere,
Yeah, no, and it's really, really fun, and it is just good stuff to read. There's a lot of stuff, like, I think later on you get kind of into...
I kind of wish the story was a bit longer, maybe, or just had more to it,
Yeah, I mean...
That's probably the only, like, thing you could say about it, is that it could be, it should be longer because it's, it's got a lot there, but, it could be, there could be more there.
Yeah. I think as, like, a short story that's, like, just, like, 3-4 pages long, like, I think it works really well. I think it's, like, the perfect length for, like, because it's not supposed to be long, because it's this guy writing down his suicide note, essentially.
Yeah, he gets in, and gets out quicker.
Yeah, exactly. And, overall, I mean, I would definitely recommend these. I mean, they're really, really fun little short stories. You can the great thing about Lovecraft is all of his work is in the public domain, so you can type in like Dagon PDF and you'll probably get like 1 billion results.
Yeah.
Or if you're like me and you like to have physical copy, you can get his like complete work of novels for like, and it's like a sweet like faux leather hardcover for like I think $20. So if you're into cool looking stuff that can sit on your shelf, yeah, I would just, if you check it out on Amazon and stuff, and if you're into that kind of stuff, yeah, stay tuned because we've got 5 more stories we're gonna be reviewing and discussing. So
and possibly more. Well, they are not that long. And there's a lot of them.
There are a ton. I think the collection I have is basically, I'm pretty sure it's all his collected works besides the Dream Cycle stuff, and it's like 800 pages long.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it is sweet. Yeah. Overall, yeah. So definitely would give this a read.
Yeah, definitely. Like first time Lovecraft readers, yeah, read this story first. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
So, have you got anything else you want to throw in there?
Mm-hmm. Not just stay tuned for more.
Yeah. So we will see you next week for week 2 of Lovecraft Spooktober Spooktacular, spectacularly spooky.
And that's going to be the title on every video.
Maybe, because I probably have already forgotten what I said there. But if you have enjoyed this video or any other that we have put out, definitely drop this video a like. We're trying to grow the channel, so likes and subscriptions go a long way. And without any further ado, this is Cade from the Lore Council, signing off.
This is Keith, and I will see y'all later.